Hey everybody, this is Kurt with Gateway RPG. I thought since it's May the 4th be with you all, I was gonna just run a quick solo adventure using actually the AI assisted tool again in NotebookLM and run through just a quick game of some Star Wars. So with that all said and done, I'm just going to go ahead and get things set up here. First of all, if you don't know about Gateway RPG, just a quick overview. You can find it. It's a free tabletop role-playing game that is rules-lite and can be used for any system, any setting, any genre you think of. So basically you can find it on itch.io or on TripStreamRPG, or just by searching Gateway RPG into Google, you'll find all the different links for it. It also has a WordPress site, so you should be able to find it pretty easily. Anyways, so it is a rule book, and there's many different formats for that rule book. As you can see, I have like a core rule book that's also in English and Spanish, and a deluxe edition which includes some solo role-playing rules, D20 Oracle, and a bunch of Oracle charts. There's also like a mini bestiary in that volume. It's highly accessible, very rules light, so it's ready to play in minutes, and just a bunch of stuff that I have accumulated and created since 2017. Yes, you'll probably notice there are some AI imagery, but again, this is a passion project. It always has been. It's free for everybody. It's always been free. So again, it's just one guy. It's me, and I don't have the time or the money to put in to get a lot of art. So I just decided that yeah, I would go ahead and use the tools that I had in AI and add those in. But again, the rules are all written by myself and have been since 2017. And if you are interested in getting the original version, I do have a no AI illustrations version on there. That's just the rule book with the throwback images that I used in the beginning. So that would be also an option for those that do not like AI art. Anyhow. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Sorry about the tangent, but I'll show you what I'm doing today. So you probably didn't see the original video where I tested this out, but what I do is I use NotebookLM. It's a free tool by Google, and it's supposed to be used as a research assistant, but what I've been using it for, I've been putting some AI directives into a document here in my rulebook, and feeding the AI to basically make it the game master. And this other document that I put in here, I just kind of created a character for today's little game. So what it'll do, so as long as I chat with it, it's going to run us through a game. It's going to know who my character is, and it's always going to refer back to the rules document, so it's going to be able to play the game pretty seamlessly. I also will be rolling my own dice. So I have a dice roller here at dnddiceroller.org. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we'll do here is I'll just tell it, let's play a game in the Star Wars universe using my character sheet, Varun Xylus. And then as soon as I prompt it, it's going to go ahead and give me a response back. I'll just go ahead and get this simplified here. Alright, so as you can see, it's going to say, you know, I'm your game master. It's going to be throwing out some whimsical themes here because I have it set to be like a game master. So it says, it seems that we have a contract to fulfill in the Outer Rim, and Varun Xylus is exactly the cold, calculating professional we need for this mission. So it's going to prompt me right here how I'd like to start. So I have this all built in. I usually go with the fast start, and I'll also be rolling my own dice and using the advanced rules. So the advanced rules are going to be more skill-based, something similar you'd see playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. The standard rules, it's a little bit more simplified, so I've changed things to, simplify down the 5th edition rules to run a game. But for this, we're just going to use the advanced rules because that's what I'm used to playing in, since I've been playing 5th edition like a lot over the last 10 years. So anyhow, so we'll just do fast start. Okay, probably should have put a little bit more because it's now understanding and trying to get things ready. But it wants me to also say, well, it's already got the rules. Dice authority, I need to know who rolls the dice. You will roll the dice. And let's see, armor class and everything else should be ready, because I already gave it all of the stats. I rolled up my character on my own. Actually, I can show you that. Actually, this is not the right sheet. Interesting. You know what? I'm gonna just say get rid of this. And I'll just say, let's roll up a different version of Xylus. Or, it's not Xylus, Varun. Xylus. I want him to be a Chiss bounty hunter from the Chiss Empire. Let's place him in the Outer Rim on a bounty. The setting will be during the events of the original Star Wars movies. That way we will be in the full Imperial occupation. Let's see. Alright, and I will roll my own dice. Alright. Alright, here we go. Logistics confirmed. Hunter, we are operating under fast start protocol. We're locking you in advanced rules, and you have the dice authority. So, phase 1, system setup. Fast start. World building. Source states fast start. Big idea. Varun Xylus, cold-eyed operative from the Chiss expansionary Defense Force, is working a contract in the lawless Outer Rim during the height of the Galactic Civil War. Starting location, we find you in a dusty, spice-laden air of Mos Eisley, Tatooine. You're currently overlooking a crowded docking bay from a shaded balcony. The problem, your target, a mid-level Imperial logistics officer who defected with a decrypted data slate, was supposed to meet a rebel contact here. The Empire has a dead or alive warrant out, but your secret employers in the Chiss Ascendancy want that data slate intact before the rebels or the stormtroopers get to it. Alright, so character creation. To roll up a new version, you must allocate specialized points. So usually at this point it's pretty easy. You would put 2 proficiencies, 1 deficiency, into saving throws, one type of attack skill, which in this case I'd probably be choosing ranged attack, and then 5 proficiency bonuses and 3 deficiencies. So just a quick thing, so if you're rolling any type of skill, a proficiency means in this game that you're rolling advantage or disadvantage, or if your skill is neutral, you're just rolling a straight d20. So for those of you who know what advantage and disadvantage rules are from 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, it's basically you roll 2d20 and take the higher. If it's deficient, you're going to roll 2d20 and take the lower. So I'm just going to, oh yeah, and then armor class in this game, it's determined by the dexterity saving throws, and the hit points are also determined by the constitution saving throw. And it looks like here, this is more of the standard rules for hit points. In the advanced, they follow more of the hit dice, where you'd have more points than just 5. So I'm going to actually let it know that. And I'm going to have it roll up random. Roll randomly for my character. I want my attacks in ranged. And make sure to use the advanced hit points. Alright, so here we go. So, Varun Xylus is a Chiss bounty hunter. Species is Chiss. If you're not familiar with the Chiss, that's your Revan style, the blue-skinned aliens from the Chiss Empire. So this is kind of a mock-up of what I had him earlier before I was playing, what he would look like. And so they gave me saving throws in dexterity, so that's going to boost my armor class. They gave me a proficiency in intelligence and deficiency in charisma, so that's going to be interesting. Guess I'm rough around the edges. Ranged attack, and then my other proficiencies, so I'm going to be proficient in stealth, piloting, technology or computer use, perception, and streetwise. My deficiencies will be in performance, nature, or religion. And so it's got my calculated armor class and calculated my hit points. So yeah, here it is, advanced rules. So since my constitution was neutral, it rolled randomly a d8 plus 8, came up with 13. And movement speed starting at 30 feet. Alright, so the starting pace, for the sake of this, let's just go ahead and do a slow beginning. Or could use my oracle. Nah, that's okay. Let's just do slow beginning. That way it'll put me in the cantina rather than throwing me in the middle of a combat. Alright, here we go. The hum of the modal nodes, upbeat clue horn melody vibrates through the cracked table in your shadowed booth. Here in Chalman's cantina, the air is thick, dizzying soup of recycled oxygen, spilled spotchka, and the distinctive musk of a dozen different species. You sit in a dark corner where your blue skin nearly blends into the gloom, save for the faint, calculating red glint of your eyes. To your left, a jagged blaster scoring on the wall, a blackened remnant of a long-forgotten duel. Yep, Han Solo, obviously, serves as a silent warning that peace in Mos Eisley is a fragile illusion. Your tactical analysis is already underway. You have a clear line of sight to the main entrance and the dim alcoves where the Imperial defector is rumored to meet his rebel contact. Near the bar, A group of Rhodian bounty hunters are loudly celebrating a recent catch, their green antennae twitching with every raucous laugh, while a lone figure in a heavy sand-dusted cloak sits in a nearby table, glancing toward the door every time the hydraulic hiss of the entrance echoes through the room. Your Chark carbine is within easy reach, and your knowledge of the local underworld tells you the defector won't stay in the open for long. What do you do, Hunter? And so at this point, I've also got directives where it'll give me 3 options, and it's also asking, I don't have to choose any of these 3. I can do something completely different and it'll react to it. So at this point, let's see. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if this guy observed the cloaked figure to see if they're the contact, eavesdrop on the Rhodian hunters, gather local intelligence, or drink and scan the room for the defector. Order a drink and scan. Server droid rolls by, its rusted chassis squeaking against the sandy floor as it pauses at your booth. You signal for a glass of blue milk, the local specialty, keeping your movements minimal to avoid drawing unwanted attention. As the droid trundles away, you narrow your glowing red eyes, filtering out the haze of spice and cigarette smoke to look for the Imperial defector. To spot the target among the shifting crowd of Rhodians, Jawas, and off-worlders, you must perform a perception check. Because you have proficiency in perception, you will roll your d20 twice and take the higher result. Given the crowded and dimly lit nature of the cantina, the difficulty class for this task is a moderate. Alright, so I'm going to roll my 2d20. So 1, 2, roll it. Looks like I rolled, so I'm proficient, so my highest is 13. So it looks like I just beat it. Now you can let the AI roll the dice for you, but I have found that even though I've directed it to be unbiased, the AIs still seem to make you win a lot more often than losing your rolls. So I do recommend that if you're going to do this, you do the same. And also, just to call this out, which I probably should have did at the beginning of this, so sorry, I will have the link to a shared notebook. So if you want to just get started playing, you don't actually have to go and find my game files and do all the setup yourself. I'm able to just share a public link, so that will be in the description of this video. Alright, so let's get back to it. So, excellent roll, Hunter. Your chist eyes pierce through the dim haze and flickering holographic displays of the cantina with calculated precision. As the server droid deposits your drink, you spot him, tucked into a recessed alcove near the rear exit is a human male wearing travel-worn civilian rags that don't quite hide his stiff military posture, the unmistakable mark of an Imperial officer. He is sweating despite the cantina's relative cool and keeps tapping a nervous rhythm on the tabletop. Your 13 meets the moderate DC exactly, granting you success. You notice him pull a small encrypted data slate from his vest and slide it partially across the table, just as a Twi'lek pilot in Rebel standard flight webbing slides into the booth opposite him. They are speaking in hushed tones, but the officer looks like he's ready to bolt at the slightest provocation. Let's see. Yeah, I want to keep low profile. Yeah, I want to listen into their conversation. You shift deeper into the gloom of your booth, drawing your cloak tighter to mask the slight silhouette of your tactical gear. Your glowing red eyes are narrowed slits, minimized to prevent the faint luminescence from drawing the attention of the skittish Imperial or the observant Twi'lek. Around you, the modal nodes, music swells, and the boisterous Rhodians at the bar create a wall of sound that makes eavesdropping a calculated challenge. The defector leans in close to the rebel pilot, his hands trembling as he taps the data slate. You can see his lips moving rapidly, his expression one of desperate urgency, while the Twi'lek remains still, listening with a focused intensity. To catch the specific details of their conversation over the surrounding, you must make a perception check. So I've got proficiency in perception, and they've made this a moderate difficulty now at 14. So let's roll again. Ooh, that's a failure. Definitely a 6 is not gonna do it, so let's see what happens. The cacophony of the modal nodes' music and the braying laughter of the Rhodians near the bar surge at the worst possible moment, turning the defectors' whispered secrets into a blur of indistinguishable noise. Man, can't talk. Since your result of 6 does not meet the moderate difficulty class of 14, you're unable to decipher the specifics of their conversation. According to the tactical protocols for failing forward, this failure introduces a new complication to your mission. So let me explain what failing forward means. So I have instructed the AI in its directives that failing forward means anytime there's a failure, it should still progress the storyline. So that's why you're going to see it talking about failing forward. So it's going to introduce a complication, but it's not going to say, okay, you didn't hear anything and now the game has to stop because we're stuck. So your intense focus on the other booth has not gone unnoticed, and a heavy-set Aqualish bouncer is now stomping toward your dark corner, his hand resting meaningfully on a heavy stun baton. The Imperial officer looks up, his eyes darting toward the approaching bouncer, and he begins to reach for the data slate as if preparing to bolt. Okay, let's see. Should I try to bribe or distract the Aqualish bouncer? Reach for the char carbine to intimidate the crowd, or quickly follow the defector if he tries to bolt. So he's coming over towards me. What would I do here? Or should I do something else? You know what? I'm just going to do something funny. I'm going to try to wait for him to get close, and I'm going to cause a scene. Okay, so I wait for the Aqualish bouncer to get close and get up from the table and move closer to the Rhodians. Once there, I want to push the bouncer into the Rhodians to cause a distraction. Then slip out following the defector if he runs. If he stays put, I want to stand across the street and wait him to leave the cantina. Alright, let's see what it does with this. Uh-oh. I see that right there. Combat. Alright, so let's see how this works. Alright, the bouncer's heavy footsteps vibrate through the floor as he reaches your booth. His tusked face twisted in a snarl as he reaches for his stun baton. You don't wait for him to speak. You surge up from the shadows, your cloak billowing as you dart toward the rowdy Rhodians at the bar, planning to use the heavy Aqualish as a living projectile. A hostile action has been declared. Yeah, that's true. And the tension in the cantina snaps like a dry twig in a Tatooine sandstorm. Alright, so it's going to start determining combat, apparently. So, determine turn order. I've rolled initiative for the NPCs. So, we got a 14. The bouncer has a... for the rebel. The defector has an 11, and the Radiant bounty hunters have a 9. So I need to roll my initiative because Varun has proficiency. I'll roll the 2d20, and then it also wants me to roll my strength check in case I get to go before the bouncer. So if I get a roll above 12. So let's see what happens with this. Alright, so roll my 2d20. 15 is the highest. So that's my initiative is a 15. I have a neutral in strength, so I roll 1. So I roll 10. Alright, so initiative equals the 15. Strength check equals 10, which is definitely not gonna work. So this should be good. And as you can see, it's giving me some options, and then if for some reason you don't understand the rules, I guess you can ask a question here. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Obviously, I'm going to go before him and everybody, and I'm going to fail my strength check, so don't know what the Aqualish is going to do. Okay. So your initiative places you at the very top of the turn order, allowing you to act before the erupts. You surge from your booth and lunge at the heavy set Aqualish, but your strength check of 10 fails to meet moderate DC of 13. Instead of tumbling into the Rhodians, the bouncer remains anchored like a stone pillar, and your failed distraction only serves to turn every eye in the cantina toward you. So yeah, here we go. I'm trying to push this bouncer, which that's not really an Aqualish, now that I noticed that. At least I don't... yeah, no. So let's see. NPC turn resolution. Alright, so the Twi'lek Rebel. She sees the scuffling happening. She doesn't wait. She grabs the Imperial Defector by the arm and hauls him towards the rear exit of the cantina. The bouncer, snarling in his guttural tongue, swings his heavy stun baton at me. The DM rolled a 16 against my 14, so that's a hit. The crackling weapon slams into your shoulder, dealing 4 points of damage. Okay. The defector, then he stumbles after the Twi'lek in a panic, clutching the data slate to his chest as they reach the back door. And the Rhodian bounty hunters, misinterpreting your move as an attack on them, the Rhodians draw vibro knives. Oh my gosh, so now I have like all these people attacking me. The first Rhodian misses wildly, but the second catches your side with an 18, so that's additional 2 points of damage. Alright, so I am at 7 of 13 of my HP. You're currently in melee range, and of the two hostile Rhodians and the bouncer. The Mark and the Rebel pilot are 25 feet away. So, it's my turn. Canteen is a blur. So, I pretty much need to take a retreat at this point. Let's see, tactical breakout, move action, primary action. So yeah, in the game, as you'll see, pretty much standard to 5th edition rules. You get a move action, a primary action, and a bonus action. So, let's see. Use the bonus action to draw my carbine. No, that's... You're not going to do these things. So I'm definitely going to declare probably the dodge, move action, head towards the exit. Yeah, I definitely need the defensive withdrawal because I can't afford to get hit anymore since I'm already half dead. So let's go with that. You prioritize survival over pride, weaving your body into a tight defensive posture as the Aqualish bouncer's stun baton crackles just inches away from your head. By declaring a dodge as your primary action, you're focusing your tactical energy entirely on evasion until the start of your next turn. Any attacks made against you will be rolled with disadvantage. With your eyes locked on the glowing red exit light, you attempt to use your move action to slide through the gap between the bouncer and the two snarling Rhodians, hoping to reach the alleyway before the defector disappears into Tatooine night. However, the space is cramped and the hostile hunters are already reaching out to intercept you. To navigate this cluster of enemies and reach the door without being pinned down, you must make a dexterity acrobatics check. Since your specific skill specializations are in stealth and piloting rather than acrobatics, you will make a neutral roll. Okay. So, neutral roll 1d20. 12. Oh, I just missed it. Alright. That's gonna be bad. Roll of 12 is a narrow failure against the moderate difficulty class. According to protocol of narrow failures, you achieve partial success, meaning you succeed in your action but a complication or a cost. You twist and weave through the crowd with the cold grace of a Chiss hunter, your body a blur of motion that imposes a penalty on those trying to strike you. You manage to reach the rear hydraulic door just as it begins to hiss shut. But the cost is high. As you lunge for the gap, one of the Rhodian's vibro knives snags your tactical vest, slicing through a seal and nicking your side. You tumble into the cool night air of the alleyway, but you take 1 point of damage from the graze. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Alright, so round 2. Twi'lek, seeing you burst through the door, she shoves the defector toward a parked X-34 land speeder further down the alley. They're now at medium range from you. The bouncer, he bellows in rage and slams his fist against the now closed hydraulic door. He's momentarily stuck inside the cantina. And the Rhodian bounty hunters, they scramble to the door, one of them drawing a blaster pistol. They attempt to fire through the small viewport as the door cycles. Because you are still under the effect of the dodge action, they roll with disadvantage. I rolled a 4 and a 14. The shots go wide, scorching the alley walls. Alright, so I'm down to 6 of 13 health. Currently in the alleyway, prone from my tumble. The defector is 50 feet away, reaching for a land speeder, and the enemy behind a closed temporary hydraulic door 5 feet behind me. Alright, so what are we gonna do now? I could try to close the gap. I could try to disable the engines of the speeder. Or I can lock these guys in the cantina. Yeah, let's do that, because I have tech computer use at an advantage. Let's take them out of the equation, hopefully. Alright. You shake off the grit in the alleyway, your red eyes fixated on the flashing control panel beside the hydraulic door. Behind the metal slab, the muffled bellows of the Aqualish and the frantic scraping of Rhodian claws tell you that the diplomatic portion of your evening is over. You need to buy yourself enough time to reach the land speeder before the rebel pilot guns the engines. To accomplish this, you use your move action to stand up from the prone position, which costs half of your 30-foot movement. For your primary action, you lunge for the exterior panel, your fingers dancing over the greasy interface to bypass the security protocols and jam the door's magnet seal. Since Varun has proficiency in tech computer use, you have advantage on this roll. Given the Rhodians are already pounding on the door, difficulty class for this is moderate. Alright, so 2d20, take the higher. I got a 17. Alright, so I'm going to do 17, and then I should still have half my movement and a bonus action. So I want to 17, then move the 15 feet toward the speeder and draw my carbine as my bonus action. So they're gonna get either away, or I might be able to get a pot shot off. But at least I won't have 3 other people who are trying to kill me behind me. Your fingers fly across the panel with just precision. The 17 is clear success. The hydraulic locks hiss shut, and the red emergency lights flare, effectively sealing Aqualish and the Rhodians inside the cantina. You don't waste a second, sprinting 15 feet down the alleyway while sliding your carbine from its magnetic holster in one fluid motion. Alright, so Twi'lek Rebel. Seeing you closing the distance with a drawn weapon, she vaults into the pilot's seat of the X-34 land speeder. The repulsor lift engines whine as they kick up a thick cloud of Tatooine grit. The bouncer behind the sealed door hear a muffled, frustrated roar, heavy thud of the shoulder hitting metal. He's currently trapped. The defector, terrified, he fumbles with the passenger side latch. and collapses into the seat, clutching the data slate like a lifeline as he spots your glowing red eyes in the rearview mirror. And the Rhodian bounty hunters, you hear their frantic chattering from inside the cantina. They are likely searching for another exit, but for now they are out of the fight. Alright. I'm standing in the middle of the alley with my carbine at ready. The land speeder's 35 feet away. The engines are hot and they are preparing to gun it. A thick cloud of dust is rising around the speeder, providing light concealment. Alright, I'm gonna dash and try to jump on the back of that speeder. It's gonna say do a disabling shot. Yeah, this is what I'm going for, the lunge. Let's go with it. You ignite your leg muscles, sprinting through the swirling grit of the alleyway. The X-34's repulsors are whining at a high pitch, kicking up a blinding cloud of sand. It stings your eyes, but your focus remains locked on the Imperial defector huddling in the passenger seat. With your dash action, you cover the 35-foot gap in a heartbeat, reaching the side of the speeder just as it begins to lift off the ground. As the vehicle lurches forward, you reach into the open cockpit, grabbing the defector's travel-worn collar to haul him out before the pilot can accelerate into the main thoroughfare. Alright, so I'm trying to pull this defector out of the moving land speeder by force. You must make a strength athletics check, so I have a neutral. Alright, so drop that down. Alright, this is neutral. Let's do... Oh, it's bad. Alright. He is definitely getting away. Probably should have clarified that I wanted to try to jump on, but actually I didn't really read the whole thing, so I guess I was trying to grab him and pull him out. Alright, so the roar of the X-34's engines reaches a deafening whine as you lunge, your fingers catching the rough fabric of the defector's vest. However, with a roll of 4, you fail to meet the moderate DC. The sudden lurch of the land speeder's acceleration is too much for your grip. The fabric tears, and the momentum sends you spinning backward into the grit of the alley. As you hit the ground, the rough Tatooine sand scours your gear, and you take 2 points of damage from the impact. Oh man, this is punishing. Alright, so what's their resolution? Twi'lek Rebel, she's gunning it, doesn't look back, slams the throttle, land speeder screams out of the alley, banking sharply around a moisture evaporator toward the main spaceport thoroughfare. Let's see, the bouncer, from behind the sealed cantina, you hear the high-pitched hiss of a fusion cutter. They're melting the lock you jammed. The defector, he's cowering in the seat, clutching the data slate. And then the Rhodians, they're still in the cantina, and they're moments away of breaking free. I am at 4 health of 13. I am prone because I am fallen off. The land speeder is now 100 feet away, and they're about to break free and hunt me down, so I think this is a failure. Let's see, I could take a long-range shot to try to sabotage. It's giving me a hard DC for that shot. I could stand up and try to chase. I'm not going to catch them. I could look for a parked swoop bike. Let's see, tactical reposition. Stand up, use your move action. I mean, with my health, the way I mean, this is a one-shot, so let's just play this out. Let's see if I can find a swoop bike. I want to see if I can find a swoop bike to chase after them with. Actually, this might be a consult of the Oracle. So in Gateway, in the Deluxe Edition for the solo RPG, there is an Oracle that you roll D20 on, and you'll basically just ask questions like you would if you were asking the GM. So since we didn't establish how I actually got to the cantina, maybe I already have a swoop bike here, but to determine that, we can roll on the Oracle with the D20. So I'm going to ask it to do that. Did I arrive at the cantina with my own swoop bike? Please roll on the Oracle table to determine this. If I don't have one, I would like to do a perception check to find one. And since it's going to ask me, well, actually, let's just let it go. Let it do its thing. I don't want to confuse it. Alright, let's see. To determine if you arrived with your own transport, I'm consulting the Oracle table. Since there is no established reason why you would or would not have brought a bike to this specific meeting, I will roll a neutral. Result is 9. No, but. Okay, so the Oracle dictates that you did not arrive with your own swoop bike parked at the entrance. Perhaps you left your ship at a different docking bay to maintain a lower profile. However, the minor opportunity suggests that while you lack your own vehicle, you aren't completely stranded. As you scramble up from the sand, you see a beat-up 9000 Z001 swoop bike leaning against a moisture vaporator just outside the cantina's side entrance. It's not yours, and its engine housing is partially open for repairs, but it looks mostly functional. To see if you can quickly spot a way to hotwire it or find another more reliable vehicle in the vicinity, perform perception check. Alright, so here we go. Ooh, there we go. There's a critical. I rolled a 20 on my perception. Critical. A natural 20 is a critical success, representing an extraordinary accomplishment that provides a major success with an added benefit or an unexpected boon. Your Chiss eyes, sharpened by years of tactical reconnaissance, ignore the rusted 9000 Z001 and instead catch a specific glint of polished chrome beneath a heavy camouflage tarp in a nearby maintenance alcove. You've discovered a pristine 74Z speeder bike. Alright, so I am curious. I need to know what that is, and I want to see if Gemini can give it to me. Fully fueled and left with the ignition key code partially entered by a technician who fled the cantina brawl. The engine hums with a refined power that far exceeds the junker you were looking for, Because of your spectacular roll, you gain advantage on your next roll to operate this vehicle. Behind the final seal of the cantina door sparks and fails. The Octolish and Rhodians are about to burst through the alleyway. Oh, okay. So basically, from what it's trying to say, it's an Imperial speeder. I wonder if that is actually the speeder bike from Star Wars. Let's see. Yep. Okay, so we got an Imperial grade speeder from Return of the Jedi. Awesome. Alright, so the engine hums, find power, Fark sees the junker. Oh yeah, I already read that. Alright, so marks 100 feet, enemies are 15 feet behind you. Alright, so high speed pursuit, use your move action to mount the bike, primary action to dash, close the 100-foot gap, mount the bike, fire suppression. Ooh. Quickly mount the bike and use your primary action ready in action to fire at the first enemy that clears the cantina door. Nah, we gotta get our people. High speed chase. I like that this looks like a coin operated thing that moves back and forth. Oh, Gemini. You vault onto the sleek saddle of the 74Z speeder bike, your fingers finding the controls with the instinct of a trained operative. Behind you, the cantina's rear door finally gives way with a screech of tortured metal and a shower of sparks. The Aqualish bouncer and the two Rhodians burst in the alleyway, blinking against the twin suns' fading light. But they are too late. You kick the repulsors into a high-pitched whine, and the bike lurches forward, kicking up a massive roost of sand that masks your departure. Down the thoroughfare, the X-34 land speeder is a blur of tan and gray, weaving desperately between the group of towering Eope pack animals and a line of moisture evaporators as it nears the spaceport gates. The rebel pilot is gunning the engines, pushing the speeder to its atmospheric limit. The two successfully navigate the crowded Mos Eisley streets at high speed and close the 100-foot gap, and to the fleeing defector you must make a dexterity piloting check. Alright, so I am advantage. So here's another good thing. So if I already have proficiency in piloting, and since I'm getting an advantage because of my critical success, then it's telling me I'm getting double advantage. So this would mean that with the double advantage roll, I'm going to roll the 2d20, take the highest result, and add +1 to the total. Let's see, so this is additionally a Z7 or 74Z is a high performance machine, so I may add +2 handling to my final result. Alright, so let's go back to the dice. Let's roll my advantage, and let's give me the +3. Looks like I'm getting. So 18, 19, 20, 21 total. So I rolled 21 for my piloting. So that's technically another critical. Because anything 20 plus is going to be a critical success. So even if you go over the 20, and no difficulty class is probably going to exceed 20. 21 is spectacular success, easily overcoming the moderate difficulty. These 74Z speeder bikes engines scream as you kick them into overdrive. The high performance handling allowing you to weave through the congested Mos Eisley streets with lethal precision. Sand plumes behind you like a comet's tail as you close the 100-foot gap in heartbeats, pulling alongside the X-34 Landspeeder just as it banks into the open flats beyond the spaceport. You are now riding parallel to the passenger side at high velocity, close enough to see the sweat on the defector's brow as he clutches the data slate. The Twi'lek pilot looks over and realizes she cannot outrun your superior machine, so she begins to swerve aggressively, trying to force your bike into the jagged debris of a crashed freighter. Let's see, high-speed boarding, your primary action to leap your bike directly into the Landspeeder. Use your primary action to fire your carbine point blank into the speeder's control console, force crash landing. So I'm not really after this guy, because it says he's dead or alive. So I think I'm going to try to take out the pilot, because if they crash, then I can just get the data slate from him. Let's see, use your primary action to ram. Yeah. So let's do that. I want to aim my blaster at the pilot. And fire at them. Desert winds howl past your flight helmet as the 74Z speeder bike thrums with raw power between your knees. To your side, the X-34 Landspeeder is a frantic blur of scorched metal, its Twi'lek pilot baring her teeth as she jerks the steering vanes, trying to slam your bike into the jagged, rusted remains of a crashed freighter. Ranged attack, target, high speed. Alright, so it's... my attack's ranged, I'm proficient. This is a hard difficulty class, so combination of the extreme velocity, the Twi'lek's aggressive maneuvers, and the blinding sand makes it a difficult shot. Alright, let's see what happens. 18. Oof, that's good. Alright, so at this point it's probably going to ask me what I roll for my damage value, but it might just roll that for me, so let's see what it does. The blue-white bolt from your carbine streaks through the dusty air, striking with the lethal precision of a Chiss operative. With your roll of 18, you've successfully exceeded the hard difficulty class of 16. For this shot, the energy bolt slams into the X-34's control console, right between the pilot's hands, dealing 1 point of damage. The sparks erupt in a violent spray, and Twi'lek pilot screams as the feedback from the surge jolts through her arms, causing her to lose control of the steering vanes. The Landspeeder lurches violently to the left, its front repulsor vane digging into the cresting sand dune. The vehicle skips twice across the desert floor, like a stone on water, before spinning into a grinding, smoking halt, approximately 40 feet away from you. The Imperial defector is slumped against the passenger side door, coughing through the rising smoke, but still desperately clutching the data slate to his chest. The pilot is slumped over the dashboard, dazed from the impact. Alright, so I'm currently mounted on the speeder bike, idling 40 feet from the crashed speeder. The X-34 is immobilized, the defector is conscious but pinned by the wreckage. You can see the dust clouds of the Rhodian hunters rising in the distance behind you. They are likely minutes away. Oh, these guys are still trying to get me. Alright. Let's see. Move action, pull the bike alongside the wreck. Your primary action to grapple the defector, pulling him in the data slate clear before the pilot recovers. Stay on your bike, use your primary action to ready an action. Now I want to try to grab. Can't remember. Let's see. After the data slate or the defector itself. So I want to clarify that. That's going to determine what I choose to do at this point. Alright, so the Imperial Defector is the primary prize, officially designated as the Mark. Mission profile follows the established parameters of the hunt, which requires you to track, capture, or neutralize a high-value target. That said, the data slate he is clutching so fiercely represents the acquisition portion of your contract, specific intelligence or stolen data that likely prompted the bounty first. To claim your full credits and complete the objective, you need to secure the defector for extraction and ensure the data slate. Alright. This is gonna be rough. So I need to try to pull him up, but I'm not super strong. But let's see what happens. Alright, so I bring the speeder bike to a sharp, skidding halt beside the twisted and smoking remains of the X-34 land speeder. The scent of scorched repulsor coils and desert grit hangs heavy in the air as you vault from the saddle. The Imperial Defector is wedged tightly between the buckled passenger seat and the crumpled dashboard, his breathing shallow as he stares at your glowing red eyes with pure, unadulterated terror while clutching the data slate to his chest. Beside him, the Twi'lek pilot groans, her fingers beginning to twitch toward the heavy blaster pistol holstered at her hip. Behind you, the roar of the Rhodian engines are growing louder. They are closing the distance fast. To successfully haul him clear, you need to do a strength check. I'm a neutral. And it's got me at a moderate. Wait, it's gonna be rough. Let's see what happens. Comes down to this, basically. Oof, 19. Awesome. With a surge of cold-chiss efficiency, you lunge into the twisted remains of the land speeder. The result of 19 far exceeds the moderate DC of 13, resulting in a decisive success. You grab the defector by his collar and the strap of his data slate bag, hauling him bodily from the wreckage. The jagged metal groans and sparks as you pull him clear, and he hits the sand with a breathless grunt. Too stunned to resist. You now have the mark firmly in your grasp, and the encrypted data slate is within your reach. Alright, so Twi'lek Rebel, she's still dazed from the crash. From previous blaster shots, she shakes her head trying to clear the cobwebs. She reaches for a heavy blaster pistol, but she is still incapacitated for this turn. The dang bouncer and Rhodians roar engines becomes a thunderous reality. Two swoop bikes crest the nearby dune, kicking up plumes of red sand They're at long range and closing fast. Alright, let's get out of here. Quick extraction. Use your primary action to shove the defector onto the back of your speeder bike. Your move action to hit the throttle, attempting to outrun the Rhodians before they can pin you down. Use your bonus action to secure the data slate. And your primary action to fire point blank chark, attack, Twi'lek pilot, hostage shield. Use your primary action to haul the defector up as a human shield, and your move action to retreat behind the cover of the crashed land speeder. No, you're extracting. So I want to, yeah, I just want to outrun everybody. This is probably where we're gonna be ending this session pretty soon, because if I can get out of here, that will be a success. The high-pitched whine of the incoming swoop bikes vibrates the air, a herald of the violence about to descend on the crash site. You have no time for finesse. With the defector already in your grip, you intend to haul him onto the back of the Z-74Z and disappear into the dunes before the Rhodian hunters can pin you down. To execute this quick extraction, we need to resolve 2 checks. The hoist. Strength. You're attempting to shove a panicked, struggling man onto the rear of a vibrating speeder bike while under fire. Okay, moderate difficulty, and then the breakaway. As soon as he's on, you're hitting the throttle to outrun. So my piloting check. Alright, let's see. This is my strength roll. 18, alright. So I'm gonna succeed on knocking him back and putting him on my speeder bike. And then my piloting result is also an 18. Perfect. Alright, here we go. Let's get out of here. My 4 HP. With a display of raw power and tactical precision, you dominate the chaos of the Tatooine desert. Your 18 on the strength check easily clears the moderate DC of 13, and your 18 on the piloting check surpasses the DC 14. As the Twi'lek pilot reaches for her blaster, you grab the Imperial defector by the scruff of his neck and hoist him bodily onto the back of his 74Z speeder bike. He lets out a high-pitched yelp as he hits the seat. Still white-knuckling the data slate, you don't give him a second to stabilize. You vault into the front saddle and slam your thumb on the ignition. The 74Z's engines scream with a refined power that drowns out the ragged thrum of the approaching swoop bikes. You kick the steering vanes, and the bike lurches forward, weaving through the smoking wreckage of the land speeder with chistborn grace. Behind you, the Rhodian hunters crest the final dune, their blaster bolts sizzling into the sand where you stood only a heartbeat ago. But they are too late. The superior speed of your military-grade bike quickly turns their silhouettes into tiny specks against the twin setting suns. Combat has ended. You have successfully extracted the mark and secured the acquisition. After several minutes of hard riding through the winding canyons of the Jundland wastes to shake any possible trackers, you find a secluded rock overhang to catch your breath. The desert is quiet now, save for the cooling tick of your bike's engine and the heavy, terrified breathing of the Imperial officer behind you. He's captured, restrained. I've got him where I want to. The defector slides off the bike and collapses onto the sand, looking up at you with wide eyes. You aren't with the rebels, he wheezes, clutching his side. And you aren't with the ISB. Who are you? What do you want with me? Okay, well, for this, then I would probably start going into more conversational interrogation, but for the sake of this, we're just going to ask the GM to wrap up our session nicely for us. Okay, so I just said, can you wrap up our session, give me a last summary of the events that take place after this moment, ending with a successful bounty captured and getting paid. Under the jagged overhang of the Jundland Wastes, you take a short rest of 1 hour and tend to your vibro knife wounds and scorched tactical vest. This period of downtime allows you to recover 6 hit points, half of your maximum capacity, bring your health to a 10 out of 13. While the defector huddles in the sand, you use your wisdom proficiency to perform an insight check, confirming through his frantic stuttering and the data slate contains coordinates for a hidden Imperial supply cache. Knowing the Rhodian hunters have been outpaced by your superior piloting during the high-speed chase, you activate your long-range comms to signal your handler for extraction. You mount the 74Z one last time, delivering the mark to a nondescript docking bay in Mos Eisley as the twin suns finally dip below the horizon. The handoff is swift. A pair of silent operatives take custody of the defector and the acquisition, while your handler quickly verifies the encryption of the slate. For successfully completing the high-stakes hunt, you are rewarded with a substantial bounty of 5,000 credits. This major milestone not only fills your coffers, but also marks your growth as an operative, granting you the chance to increase your hit points or master new special abilities for your next contract. Your mission is complete, and the shadows of the spaceport swallow you as you disappear into the crowd to await your next target. So yeah, that was a pretty exciting adventure, I must say. I was surprised that it divulged into combat, and actually it was a good test of the system and the AI with combat. So I am very pleased that it was able to get me into a chase scene and to do all the things that it did. But I know this was a long video, and I know at the very beginning I was a little bit scattered here and there. So if you did watch this far, thank you so much for this, and may the 4th be with you. And if you're interested, again, the links will be in the description, and you can find Gateway RPG free, and you can also find the shared link to get started with your own adventures using NotebookLM. But thanks, and have a good one.